where I sit at my desk, I can actually see outside. And in the backyard, I've just been watching my dog dig. And it got me thinking. So when a dog starts digging, there would have to be a reason why he's digging in the ground. Either he's seen something that he wants to continue chasing, he can smell something, he can see something, or he knows something's under there. And I'm watching how he digs and how he digs a little bit and then moves to the next bit. And I realize that's something that we do with the information that we seek as well. It's a lot like a dog, and when they start digging and they're looking for things within that dirt based on some sort of input or some sensory experience that has led them to believe that they need to continue digging to find the thing they're looking for. And it's the same with us. It's the same when we get our ideas or our intuitive hits. It's, do we start digging with that little piece of information, with that little spark that we receive? And if we do, when do we stop digging? Like the dog has now stopped digging. So at some point he decided, no, what I'm looking for is not here. And he ended up on the side there rolling around in the grass, happy with himself that he's now dug a hole in the middle of the yard. But that's what we do. That's what we do with the information that we receive. We dig all these little holes as well. But when we start digging those holes, what do we find? And there's so many different things that we can find when we start digging. Because once we start digging, we could find, oh, there's something else under here. And then we'll go investigate that. Then we'll go find more of that. Or while we're digging, we could get a new idea or a new thought and go, what's that? I'm going to go do some digging on that. Or maybe the digging leads you to think to something that's relative to whatever it is that you're digging about, and you go follow that. Or even you could be digging into something and going, oh my God, I love digging this. I'm going to dig this hole all the way through to the other side. And that is when we find something that we are so connected to that we commit ourselves all the way to find out as much as we can about that and continue on that path. But the things that spark us to actually go and do this digging is thoughts that hit our mind. And I talk a lot about our intuitive hits and when these sparks of information come to us, how they are our next step. I 100% believe that is to be true, but sometimes before we even get to that point, there's going to be a lot more other ideas and thoughts that are going to pop in that may not be those clean genius sparks of information that is our complete next step, especially if we're just sort of starting to understand this process and learning more about ourselves and haven't really been able to fine tune into those ideas or those thoughts that come to us. So when an idea comes in, it could be a manifestation of a group of thoughts that you've had or based on an experience that you were in, or it could be something that has come in based on the people you were hanging around or the things you were listening to or the things you were learning, and it is attaching the information to something else. Or maybe it's part of your own subconscious and it is bringing up some information and connecting it to something in your present, even though it's linked to your past. And it's this new idea that has been presented to you in a way for you to decide if that's something you want to start digging in. Because there's a lot of things that are not how perfectly in tune genius hits and sparks of inspiration. There's still a lot of debris in there, if you like, or a little bit of dirt, depending on who you are and what you do and how in tune you are with your own thoughts and your own ideas and how much healing you've done and what you believe. And it's going to be different for everyone. But I can tell you it takes a bit of work to get to that place where you know every single thought, every single idea, every single hit is your exact next hit. Now, I'm not saying that following those ideas or those hits are going to be wrong, because I still think every single one of those thoughts you have is still going to lead you to exactly where you need to be, but it's going to be based on just a different pathway. So we can't get it wrong. We can't choose wrong. It's just up to us to decide which of those ideas are we going to say yes to? Which ones are we going to start digging in? Which are the ones that we're going to continue to dig in? And which ones we're just going to go, no, not interested. As you get more and more in tune with who you are and understanding how you work and what works for you and what your truth is, you will become really in tune with what those ideas and what those thoughts are. You will also know when it is time to stop digging, when it is time to continue digging, or when that digging is going to lead you to something else. I am currently writing a book, and luckily I've engaged with a professional, so this means it's actually being written, not like me who has been saying that for a while now. But part of the process, because it is a story about me and my journey through grief and awakening, there's a lot of topics in there that I have been reflecting on as part of my story. Even just thinking about the different things that I used to enjoy doing. They were all originally sparks of ideas. They could have been given to me. They could have been, my parents taught me how to do this, so that's why I'm interested in this. Or all my friends from this workplace are all interested in this, so I'm interested in this. And so all these things that I was engaged in, all these things that I was digging into back then were things based on where my knowledge was and where my thoughts and my ideas of what I thought I needed to engage in, or what I needed to learn, or what I needed to do based on where I was then. Like so many of those different topics or versions of myself, like they're definitely not things I'm interested in now. And back then, like a lot of those things, they were like, oh my God, I love this. Oh my God, this is so amazing. Oh my God, this is so good. Like, I'm sure I've said this story before in here, but I used to be obsessed with wrestling. And I have a pretty cool story about wrestling. But I remember there was a time where I could not get enough of it. And if you ask me to watch it now, no thank you. I would not be doing any digging on any wrestling, because I have different interests now. I have different things that I want to engage in. And that doesn't take away the value of what it was in those moments. It just means that something's changed. I've changed. My tastes have changed. I have grown and adapted into something else. And I know that that is the most important part of who we are and what we are experiencing as these human beings on this earth. Like, even if you go back to looking at a baby and how they don't know how to do anything, they don't understand anything, and they learn things based on the people around them. They learn things based on what they're taught, what they see, what they experience. And we do the same as we grow up. Once we start to become adults and we start to make our own choices, and we get to follow our own sparks or our own little thought bubbles, or, maybe our peer pressure friends are putting these ideas onto us. But it's all part of that experience to start allowing us to listen to these ideas and listen to these thoughts and find ways for us to start digging into them and seeing if it is something that we want to enjoy for a little while, to see if it's going to lead us somewhere else, or if it's something that it's like, yes, this is what I want to do. And, especially for like when you finish school and you don't really know what you want to do. So you get these ideas or these sparks, or they come into you and you investigate some things and go, I think I want to do this as a job. And so you follow that path. You go down the path of, I really enjoy doing this activity. So how can I get paid to do more of it? Okay, I'm going to become this. And then you learn how to become that thing that you wanted to do based on your interest in it, based on how much joy it was bringing you. But sometimes at some stage, it loses that excitement that it once had. And that can be for so many reasons. But mostly it'll be because it no longer aligns with who you are then. It no longer gave you that spark that it once did in the beginning. And as humans, we have been conditioned to believe that we need to continue on that path and we need to kind of suck it up and stay in those jobs or those places or relationships or experiences that we don't enjoy because that's what you've chosen, that's what you have to do, that's what you've committed to, and that's it. Because for many, many years, we always believed that we had to do things this way. We were taught that we had to do this. And the whole new reality is that we don't. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to do something because somebody tells us to do it. So when we are doing things that we're not enjoying and they've lost their spark and they're not bringing us joy anymore, why are we still holding on to them? Why are we still engaging in them? Why are we sitting in the dirt of that original idea that we started digging into, but it's no longer fun. It's no longer exciting. It's no longer what you want to do anymore. We get clouded by the everyday things around us and, I have to stay in this relationship because of the children, or I have to stay in this job so I can finish paying off my mortgage, or I have to continue with this, trainer because I paid for 6 months of this gym membership with this trainer. But we don't. It's the fear we have of letting that go. It's the fear of the judgment of our peers or our family or the people around us. It's the fear of thinking that it is going to be okay if we decide to not do that thing anymore. But in those fears, in those moments, in those decisions, that's where our growth happens. Those sparks of those new ideas or those new thoughts, they're happening all the time. Sometimes you just can't see them, or sometimes you're just choosing not to listen to them. And a lot of that life experience is what taints those ideas, what taints those experiences so that you can't see those ideas come up anymore. You can't hear that voice telling you, ooh, what about this? Ooh, that's interesting. Even when there may be signs around you that are gently guiding you towards something new or something different, sometimes you just can't see it. But I can tell you, the universe has a pretty good way of leading you into the right direction. And sometimes if you are not listening to those subtle hints, it's going to give you a very large wake-up call. And those ones you can really not ignore when you get those big wake-up calls. But how do you know what are the right intuitive hits? What are the right ideas to follow? There is a skill that comes with learning how to start listening to your own intuition. It can be difficult sometimes at the beginning to sort of really be able to tune out some of the noise and some of the fluff around those beautiful gold pieces of information. But as you become more and more in tune with who you are and your thoughts and how you operate and how everything works for you, you will start to really know which are the ones you need to jump into right now. Even now, for me, I get, oh my goodness, I get so many ideas and thoughts that it's like, I need a switch. How do I turn it off? And it doesn't mean every single idea is going to be a right now, solid gold hit. If there are ideas that come in, like if there are ideas of things I need to do, some of them need to sort of permeate a little bit. So I might write them down, or they may be sort of later ideas, or they may be a initial idea that starts as something, and then as I try to sort of work through it or work it into something, it becomes something else. Other times I will just get a beautiful little hit of do this now, but not in that evil, scary voice, in a cool, hey, inspire, let's go do this. And it's perfectly in tune. And when you really tap into the essence of yourself, those moments become a lot easier and a lot more automatic, and they come in on their own, and they come in at the perfect times. But I do have an open door with my mind of give me all these ideas, because I do have this whole different range of different projects that I work on once. And I know now that it is because I need to have these different things that I'm digging into at the same time. I don't want to just dig in one area forever. I want to dig everywhere in many places and see what's underneath. Like, I'd be a terrible archaeologist, because I would be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to start over here, but now I'm going over here. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, what's that over there? Let's go have a look over there. And yeah, I'd probably get fired in the first 5 minutes. But that's the thing, see, once we really start to learn more and more about ourselves and how we work, we are going to be able to tap into what works for us and what information, what hits are coming in for us, what sparks of our next step or new ideas or new things we can investigate that are going to come into us. And it's kind of fun once you start letting those thoughts come in and you start playing with some of those ideas. Even if you had an idea of something and you quickly did a search on your phone about it, you may find that it leads you into something else. It may be exactly what you need in the moment. It may lead to a whole life-changing decision that just happens in that moment, but you won't know unless you try. And don't ever put them off till later, because we all know later's not guaranteed. It's definitely not something that we can put in a pile and say, oh, I'll do that later. Which is kind of counterintuitive in the way that they've set up our whole system in putting all your money away so you can spend it when you retire. Yet most people, if they get to retirement, they're either too old or too sick to be able to spend it, which is kind of sad. So instead, why not do it now? Why not enjoy everything now? Because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And, this is clearly proven with my book and, with my husband dying at 47. There is nothing guaranteed about tomorrow. So what have you got to lose? So start digging. Start digging. Allow those hits to come in, because once you let them in, more and more come in, and more ideas spark, and more creations start to take form. You don't need to know when to stop digging, because you'll know. You'll know when it's time. But will you be ready to stop?